PhD, and you're listening to the TyePod.
All right, hey everybody, it's another edition of the TyePod, and then today I'm joined by Michelle Ballasiotes. She is a occupational therapist in pediatrics, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And also you have a form of CP as well, but I'll let you talk a little bit more about that as we go through. But yeah, it's great to have you, and thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So first, if you want to give maybe just a brief intro about you and a few highlights or anything that you want to share, just kind of off the bat, and we'll go from there.
Sure, yeah. So, I had a stroke before I was born, and I also have hydrocephalus. So I have a VP shunt, and then I also have right hemiplegia. That's my form of cerebral palsy. So I went growing up to weekly occupational and physical therapy. I did various sports as I was growing up: swimming, soccer, ballet, um, and I jumbled around when I was a kid. Swimming
Mhm.
is the one I stuck with the most. Um, and then as I got older, I found a passion for public health, and I was inspired by my own OT growing up.
Mhm.
So that's what I went to school for. And now it's been really awesome that I get to go full circle and give back to those same types of people who helped me growing up. Um, and then the sports that I've stuck with
Mhm.
that I do most often is cycling. I do cyclocross races, mountain biking, riding on greenways on my
Mhm.
recumbent tricycle. And then I also really love rock climbing, so I've been doing a lot of that
Nice.
lately.
Yeah, cool. That's such a neat thing, I think to have that connection from something growing up that you experience and someone that works with you that you like on the OT side, just kind of spinning that off into something you want to do long term.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think what's also been really cool is when I was in grad school, I found that I had a passion for connecting sports with those who have physical disabilities.
Mhm.
So I'm on the board for North Carolina Adapted Sports, and that's probably another reason why I'm so involved with mountain biking and rock climbing is those are
Mhm.
two things that we offer either directly or with a partnership. And it's been awesome to see my patients do sports that I also love and see a huge smile on their face.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm guessing that you probably come up with kind of a creative solution, just based on what their needs and experience is.
Yeah, for sure. And then the founder of the organization, he's an amputee, and had that was when he was 15 or 16, I think.
Mhm.
So he has a great eye and expertise and experience also with modifying things. So
Yeah.
it's really awesome how everyone on the organization works together to help meet the needs of our participants.
Yeah, I love the whole adaptive thing that it seems like is involved there. Just that level of creativity, I think, of still finding ways to do something that you like to do, even if it has to be a little bit different.
Right, right. Yeah. Our slogan is we don't want easy, we want possible. So
That's good. I love that.
yeah, yeah. We don't want a
Growing
trophy just for being there. We want to show
exactly.
people, yeah, we're working out. It might look different than your workouts, but we're getting that cardiovascular fitness.
Right. No, that's so good to be able to give that back, I think, for sure. What
Mhm.
like how did you get involved with that? With the adaptive cycling and everything?
So it was with the founder of
Uh-huh.
North Carolina Adapted Sports. We connected, um, and then I gradually got more involved with cycling,
Mhm.
I guess. I started going about twice a month with an organization, and then when COVID hit, I rented a bike
Mhm.
because I just wanted a way to get out and still be active. And then he branched off and formed NCAS, and that's when I got even more involved. And I ended up getting a mountain bike through the Challenged Athletes Foundation. Well, they covered a portion of
Yeah.
it.
So they provide some funding to adaptive sporting equipment then?
Yes, yeah, they're a great organization for grants. They might not cover everything,
True.
but it definitely helps offset the cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that actually is such a big thing that I think is left out in even insurance to a point, is that there is a recreational need I think that people should have, and if they can get added health benefits from that too, it seems like something that there should be more funding for. But yeah, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about how important, I guess, recreational activity like that can be when you have a disability or whatever going on.
Yeah, for sure. I agree though to that
Yeah,
point about insurance. It's frustrating to see, and yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole.
that's a whole different, yeah,
But I think ever since I started cycling and having the space with NCAS, it's always something I look forward to. It's a safe place. No one judges anyone for their different ability levels. We're all patient with each other. We don't like to say no to anyone. We're going to
yeah,
figure out how to make it work. We've got a rig that is, if you're quadriplegic, you could still theoretically ride a bike.
mhm,
You wouldn't get necessarily that cardiovascular fitness. It's almost like a motorcycle, but you're out there, you're in the community, um, and able to socialize. Um, and then just having access to a bike where
yeah,
um, I feel safe and confident and I can go fast and have fun is a world of a difference. Because I tried for a while to ride a two-wheel bike and I was just super, super anxious and it never worked out. So
hmm,
now I can ride with NCAS or with my able-bodied friends to an extent.
yeah, yeah,
I'm realizing that it might be beneficial if I get a motor added to my bike. But again, it's expensive, so
right.
we'll see. And they're patient and everything. It's just with my strength and how the bike is made, it's hard to keep up with them.
Yeah.
So we'll see what I end up doing.
Yeah, well, it seems like, you kind of learn, you're the expert of your own like body as you go along, and you figure out kind of what's like, maybe I need this tool for this part of it and then something
Mm.
else for more.
Right. And then
Yeah.
all my friends are like, I wonder if we add that or do that. Will that make
Yeah.
you help you go faster? So that's been
See,
really
those are the good
awesome.
friends. Those are the ones that
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
to have. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's really intriguing, for me to think about, because with my muscular dystrophy that I have, I don't, I really have very little function on the physical side. So, to even now kind of do envision, well, what if there is something out there that I could kind of, use to get some more nature experience, or, check out like some national parks, or like I moved to Tennessee recently, so there's waterfalls that I
Oh,
kind of
wow.
would want to see. But yeah, just that adaptive technology is out there. I think it's just a matter of finding it and then figuring out how to possibly fund something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and I've told a couple of my patients, like, honestly, I don't think there's any shame in putting out a GoFundMe because it is expensive, and I
Yeah.
do get the vibe that people would support that
Yeah.
and they would help chip in.
That is something I've thought about too, that there's like so many causes and so many requests for like GoFundMe pages and things like that. Do you think, is there like a strategy to that maybe, or like how, I guess you have to find the specific, like focus area that you want to get into on it.
Yeah, NCAS had a campaign where I think we just each had our own page to
Mhm.
show how this organization has impacted us. So putting a real face behind it and where they know specifically where their funds are going, I think that helps people donate more.
Right.
Like if they're contributing to one person in particular, or
Yeah.
they have the option to be more general if they prefer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It just kind of depends on the specific campaign and the individual too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's really great though, that there are at least, resources out there to try to offset some of that cost.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like as you were growing up with CP and everything, what was your experience with like stigmas, assumptions? Were there things that people like blanket statement, because you have CP, it's assumed that you have, a very specific set of things that you maybe show or not? Like, if there's any of
Hmm.
that you kind of experienced, and maybe how you've sort of learned to approach those things.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really remember much of up until fourth grade in terms of assumptions because I grew up with those kids and they really didn't think anything
There's
of it.
familiarity. Yeah.
Yeah, and my AFO was a part of who I was. But when I moved from the Chicago suburbs to Georgia going into fifth grade, that was definitely an adjustment. It was okay, do I take a moment to tell the whole class about me? But that's a lot of pressure. I get questions all the time. What is that thing on your leg? I get tired of answering it. Do I say, oh, I just broke my leg? As a fifth grader, do I say, oh, I had a stroke? Do they really know what that means?
How much do you want to share in all the
Right.
details? Yeah.
So that was a lot to navigate. And there was this girl that I was really close with over the summer. And then all of a sudden she just ignored me when classes
Mhm.
started, and I never ended up asking her truly why she just went so opposite all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But of course my brain went towards, oh, it's because of my brace. She didn't want to be seen with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never. It was a really crappy feeling.
Yeah.
But I did
Yeah.
find friends who accepted me. It was just it took time. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and then um assumptions that people had, that's right, in the medical community, because I grew up with all the same doctors,
Hmm.
they knew my baseline. I moved to Georgia, and the doctors were like, "Oh, she walks great for a kid with cerebral palsy." So, my mom noticed I was regress or you don't regress, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Is there, I guess there was some amount of progression or something with anything in particular, or
yeah, it's CP is tricky because as I've aged and gone through it myself, they say it's not a progressive disorder, which
yeah.
it's not really. But if you don't keep up with everything that you're doing, you can lose, your muscles can start to atrophy again,
Right.
and things
Right.
like that. So I'd say that's more so where we were at.
Yeah.
Um, and that was different for us to navigate.
It's such a weird thing how different doctor experiences are. I think even though you want to think that they are familiar with, many of the different things that can, be part of CP or not, like that doesn't necessarily mean that you fall into a category or something either. It's even the same diagnosis, I think, is can be so different that that assumption level is just it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like, we were there for a reason. We want help. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. If I were them, I would have looked at my body and like, okay, how can we improve where she's at right now?
Right.
So,
Do you feel like did you find any at the that got to the point where they were more helpful and open and more like a team-based approach, like to figuring things out?
um, I went through like phases where I tried different types of braces and
Mhm.
USBs, and then as I got older, it was kind of just like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I think the best thing for me has just been being active and trying to maintain my muscle mass.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a difference. I have much stronger arms and quads, and my balance isn't great, but just picking things up and doing things like that have been
Yeah.
a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like if you focus the time and energy into doing things like that that you're into and like that almost is the best sort of treatment, I feel like, in a lot of cases.
Right. I was
Yeah.
never one to do my home exercise program, so I
Yeah.
encourage my patients to do sports because it's a fun way where you're working out muscles, but you don't even realize it sometimes.
Definitely. As far as your patients go, like I know you probably can't get into specifics or anything, but like, was there some moments where you're just like, this is the perfect like situation or thing that I've found to, kind of give back and help people figure out their own um, activities and ways they can do it.
Yeah, for sure. I have a 15-year-old right now.
Hmm.
Um, Stroke around the time of birth, hemiplegia, and I think the same side as me. Um, and he's kind of just going through an identity crisis in a
Hmm.
sense of, like we mentioned earlier, CP is a spectrum. No one person is affected the same. And I think he's in a mindset right now where he just wants more function. He wants to be able to do more things with his hand. And so I respect the stage that he's in right now. And he, I can tell him and his mom both really appreciate that mentorship relationship that we're able to have.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just kind of helping him figure out what we can do right now. So he's gotten Botox, and we're um working through how much function can we gain at this time, and just
Mm.
going from there and listening to what he really wants to do within reason. Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good approach, I think, to trying to, I mean, obviously it's hard for them to understand or realize that maybe it's like an incremental thing, and they maybe want to have that function like obviously right now, but it just seems like it's a really hard thing at that age and younger to kind of accept, disability.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm okay in sharing this part. Is the
Yeah,
hardest part in that relationship that I've found interesting is he really wants to type with two hands.
yeah,
And I'm trying to respect his desire, but the reality is I do have more function in my right hand than he does, and even I don't type with two hands. So it's super interesting to me where he's at this point in his life, that that's just a goal of his.
yeah.
And so I've been trying to figure out how to navigate those conversations.
Yeah, that's tricky. I think back on kind of the progression I went, where I had to have like my laptop in a very, very specific spot, like braced up against a chair or something where I could do the two hands typing for quite a while, and then having to adapt and realize, well, maybe I have to use a digital keyboard, or maybe I have like this mouse trackpad now that I use for all the typing. So it's just,
Uh,
you have to keep just kind of finding ways to get new devices or figure out new routines, even if it's slower than you would like, but still it's that communication option is there. So it's just a matter of, kind of coming to terms with that, I think, as you experience it. Um, at least that's been my case. So,
yeah,
I definitely get the frustration with the typing aspect.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's really cool though. I think though that have experience that you're sharing with them, and it's got to make a big difference having someone that can relate, to some of the challenges they're going through, I think, because it's not always easy to find someone who has really much of an idea of what you're going through and how to proceed with, and be successful with it. So that's got to be it's got to be great to know that you have that experience to share, with the kids and their parents too. So I'm curious on the parent side, like has the working with them been good as well, or have there been challenges kind of navigating that, parent-child dynamic with you working with them?
Yeah. Honestly, it's been good
Yeah,
for the majority of everything. And that same mom actually called me this past week and was like, "Hey, he's been invited to an ice skating party. What do I do?"
yeah,
And I was able to give my perspective on, um, hey, I've been in the exact same situation. Honestly, looking back, I don't think I ever went to an ice skating party. I think I
mhm,
just chose, y'all have fun. I'm gonna sit this one out.
yeah.
But again, no matter what, like it hurts. You're gonna be
It
the
does.
focal point at the party, or realize, hey, I can't do something because of
Yeah,
my physical disability.
yeah. That's like you either go full isolation mode or you go the other way where you're, potentially getting attention and everything. So that's a tricky thing to navigate, it seems like.
hmm Um, I haven't heard any update on it, and I can't
Yeah,
remember if it was
yeah.
this weekend or not. But
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah, I
this
think
is current events kind of then.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I just remember being a kid and how things just felt so much bigger, and now I'm like, well, so what?
yeah,
I'll hang out with them another time. It's not that
yeah,
big of a
yeah.
deal. But at
Right,
the
and
same
you
time,
you find the ones that are okay with that, or maybe ones that maybe plan activities or parties that are a little more inclusive too, right? Like that's kind of the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. At the same time, if that kid wants to go ice skating, I don't want to
True,
make them not do it just because of
true.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm always thinking kind of about that balance factor too. Like some could be where it's like that, but then others, I don't know, that making it inclusive enough for people when you plan something is a whole nother topic, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I like the fact though that, you know, that he was able to try that, and hopefully it goes well when you hear more about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I guess speaking of tricky situations, I know we talked a little bit about the podcast thing you'd started and did for a class project, as I understand it. But if you wanted to share a little more about like how you came, like what was the assignment maybe, and like how you decided to take it that way.
Sure. Yeah. So we're referring to a Dating with a Disability podcast that I did back in 2022, 2023, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Um, and I was a late, I guess, when it comes to dating. My first relationship, I was 22, I
Hmm.
think, or even, yeah, like I think my first kiss, I was even 22, something
Yeah.
around that age.
Yeah.
And so there was just a lot of anxiety for me around dating, even though I knew from a disability standpoint, I'm relatively able-bodied,
Hmm.
but it and so there was two conflicting parts of my brain like, "Hey, I'm not that disabled, but hey, what if someone doesn't want to date me because I'm quote unquote not perfect? Like
Yeah.
there's those things wrong with me." Um so it was just a big thing going through my head and at that point in my life. Um and I thought it'd be fun to interview some people and kind of share my experience.
Hmm.
And at least in my situation with my past relationships, I found out it really was not an issue. We n- so I'm currently single, but whatever went wrong was typical relationship
Hmm.
stuff. It wasn't
Okay.
related to my physical disability. It was other incompatibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's mostly what I found as a common theme between all of my guests that I had on the podcast.
Yeah.
And one thing that has stuck out from one of my guests, he is a wheelchair user, and he said everyone has their own baggage. It just so happens that those of us with physical disabilities, it's out on display.
That is a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Like that's more on the surface, for people to see right away. Yeah.
So that I did that just for the class project, and
Yeah.
then I just was like, okay, I'm thinking about this too much.
That's
I need a break from
yeah.
all of this.
Did you
So,
find that it was like extra heavy, like going through, or like what was the hardest part kind of that?
um, honestly, I enjoyed it, but I think right when the semester was wrapping up, my first relationship was ending. So I was like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
I want a break from all this relationship talk.
Yeah, like I don't
Um,
need reminders every day doing podcasting. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I felt like even though I don't have that many episodes, one of my relatives kind of said, "Yeah, it kind of got boring. Everyone was saying the same stuff." So he don't worry, I don't take
I
any
can see a
offense
little
to
bit of
it.
that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just felt, okay, you know what? That's a good point. I think that's a good wrap up. And I never really wrapped
Yeah.
it up, but
Yeah.
um,
No, but I thought, I listened to I think a couple episodes, and I was, while there are similarities, I guess, with some of the frustrations and stuff, it's still, for me, it's always interesting. There's nuances and little things that different people have experienced with it, and I don't know, it's kind of
mhm.
interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, what class was that for? I'm curious. And like, what was the assignment to like just to do something like a
So I got an additional scholarship and like program. It was through LEND, Leadership in Education in
oh, okay,
Neurodevelopmental and Disabilities. So
one of
I
those
forget
long
exactly.
course
They're gonna be like, oh
names.
my gosh. But so it was a disability focused extracurricular, and they wanted you to do a project along with
Oh,
that
okay.
um, class.
Yeah, that's really cool though. I like classes that kind of have those types of projects that
Yeah.
did you feel like it was something you kind of gained a lot from, even though you did, like did a semester of it?
I Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then I think that whole project honestly was cathartic for me. It was reassuring
Yeah.
to here, okay, people are in the same boat. Um, and it just kind of helped me process and see, hey, this really isn't the end all be all. You still have the
Yeah.
chance to find someone.
Yeah. I think for me, something like that too is, or along those lines, is like, it's not the end of the world if you don't find that necessarily. I
Hmm.
mean, like obviously I know that there's that kind of, quote unquote normal, like that's considered success, or, whatever part of life. But I'm just like more
Yeah.
and more thinking it's not necessarily all there is to life in
No.
general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's everyone has a different perspective too. And I think
True.
I feel very full in my life, but me personally, I know that is something I want to find one day.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I do along those lines. I follow. Have you heard of Squirmy and Grubs?
Oh yes, definitely. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm involved with some volunteering with them too.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
they're really good.
Yeah. I think the more that people are open in their relationships, and I don't know for sure, but I assume, do you use a wheelchair?
I do. I have a powered chair, and then
Okay.
yeah, recently I actually started using a ventilator too. So I kind of have several machines, that I'm relying on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I appreciate couples who have a partner that has gear like that, and they
yeah,
can see, oh, just because they have that gear doesn't mean that they
yeah,
can't be loved.
yeah. I love all of their stories too that they share with everybody. It's a really good, program and platform. I think that they have for that for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. They're fun to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like I think it is kind of just realizing that there is no set, like it doesn't have to look a certain way or anything. If you're just compatible, that it works out. So that's,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
I did have a whole segment on how the apps make it harder for us, I think.
Do you feel, or maybe when you first started, did you feel like they were almost empowering or helpful, but then you quickly realize that it's not, I mean, it's not, even though it's like remote, or you can do it whenever you have a break, or it's convenient, it doesn't necessarily lead where you want to go.
Um, I think for me, on a profile, my disability can be, quote, invisible,
Right.
but my life is very disability involved, which is not always the case. Like, disability doesn't have to be a focal point in my life, but I have chosen to make it one.
Yeah.
So I think that has been my toughest part with the
Mm,
apps is like, do I post my tricycle on my profile or not?
right. Right.
Um,
Do you have a
so
consensus on that now, or do you go back and forth still?
um I think I've left my bike on there because more
Yeah.
people have thought it's cool than anything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've left it on. It really
Yeah.
hasn't negatively impacted any
Yeah.
connections I've made, but I have found that, just on dating apps, as long as your reproductive organs work, that's what they really care about.
Yep. Yep. That's the criteria for the swipe right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate to a lot of that. Then that whole overthinking, like, do I include this piece or that piece, or how much do I need to get to know this person before I share that information? And
Mhm.
and then say you don't share any of it, you meet up, for coffee or whatever, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's a huge difference, like in person.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't envy my friends who have more like stuff that comes along with their
Yeah.
physical body.
Yeah.
But I have found that if I'm uncomfortable or don't really see it going anywhere, I
Yeah.
won't share about my stroke. I won't go into detail about my disability and my passions.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, okay, bye. And
Right.
then
Yeah,
that's
like
that.
no reason to extend that any further.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I think even even friendships too, you quickly realize, like, is there that kind of, well, maybe it's like an it factor, or like just that connection that right away you're like, yeah, this person, I'm comfortable sharing, talking about things, or like right away that wall comes up and you're like, well, I'm gonna kind of back away and, move on.
Mhm.
That's kind of a tricky dynamic. I feel like I learned maybe a little bit later than I could have, but
Yeah,
yeah. It's kind of like trusting your instinct, I think, from the start too.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's still a really cool project. I'm glad that you were able to do that and get that experience, and even visit with some people that were, part of inter-able relationships or other types. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. In terms of, if we go into a little bit more like advocacy awareness, do you feel like the work you're doing right now, like, are there areas that you would like to get more into with advocacy and awareness, or are there certain places that, like, do you feel like just kind of living your life and being an example, and then obviously working with, with the kids with OT and everything, that in itself seems to be almost the best kind of advocacy in my view.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you want to just talk a little bit about just in general how you approach it.
Yeah. I'm pretty content with my life right now and
Yeah.
kind of how I'm, like you mentioned, just with that small community and doing more direct work.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate Wes, who's the founder of NCAS, for creating the organization, because I wouldn't have started it on my
Yeah.
own. Like, so
Yeah.
it's there, and I like to just hop on to things that are already created.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. No, I
um,
totally get that.
but yeah, I right now don't have a desire to do more.
Yeah.
It's stressful to do advocacy or post on social media and do things like that, because no
Yeah.
matter what, you're going to get feedback. And I'm just like, you know what? I kind of just want to be a little more private.
Yeah. No, and
I'm still
that's,
public to an extent, but
yeah.
mhm.
That is kind of a balancing act too. I feel like, it's like, how much of you do you put out there if you are on social media, and what's you know, the message you're trying to send out? Is it consistent with what with you on what makes you comfortable? I mean, it's a tricky thing to navigate, I think.
It is. When COVID was happening and uh, it was May, Stroke Awareness Month, I decided to do a series where I do something in my daily life that's modified one way or another to show people how I live my life as a
Hmm.
stroke survivor. So I posted them on TikTok and Instagram, and one video where I'm just describing how my recumbent tricycle works
Hmm.
popped off. Then I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So I did it for a little bit and started posting more videos after
Yeah.
that. Um, but nothing ever took off, and it just kind of died down, but
Yeah.
that was fun for a period of time.
Yeah, I feel you there. You kind of, you get one or two things that get some attention, and then you're like, this is a thing. But then I'm like, well, why are the most random things getting attention? Like, I posted one about just a new door that was put in so I could get into a room where I live, and it was like, that took off of like 3,000 views or something, and that's like my most seen video. And I'm just like, okay, why the door situation here?
I
It
don't understand the algorithm,
it
but
makes no sense. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think for me, I've gotten to a place where it's like I get something out of it regardless. And then if, a few people get something that's helpful, or maybe it's just like something they enjoy, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't have to push for 100,000 followers, or it's a machine I think a lot of people get into.
yeah, yeah, I have had people reach out to me, and it hasn't been hundreds every day, but I know
Yeah.
that I've gotten a handful of messages where they say, "Thank you so much for sharing your story,"
Yeah.
and things like that. Um, one of my mom's so my mom runs an international organization called the International Alliance for Pediatric Stroke.
Yeah.
So there's connections through there, and one of the moms said, "Oh, if you don't follow Michelle on social media, you should. I have no idea if she's actually like that in person, but she sounds really positive and awesome."
Yeah.
And then a parent that I met in person, she was like, "It's true, she is." So that was
Nice.
awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So even with the little bits that I post, I know it makes a difference to some families.
Right. Yeah, it definitely does. I think that's for me in a lot of ways more fulfilling even than anything else I necessarily get out of it, is that if there's some experience that would ease some pain point in somebody's life, with things, it's good. But yeah, it's interesting when you have kind of that real life and social media thing where they cross or intersect or something, and you're like, huh, that's kind of interesting. Like,
Yeah.
because it's not like each one's its own little world. Like, well, I don't know if you've seen um, the series that's been so big with everybody lately on what was it, not Inception, uh, the one where they have the work part of their brain and then the home side or whatever. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name, but I'll think of it.
No, I'm not
um,
sure. I can't
but
think of
anyway,
it.
it's like they compartmentalize these parts of their life that are separate, right? Like they have their home personal side, and then they have like their work side. And at first, neither of them cross or intersect, like they're completely isolated. But then gradually things start to kind of come back and weave together and things like that. So I think it's interesting to, you know, kind of just see those dynamics maybe cross over.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine definitely blend.
Uh,
So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's really cool though. That I think that it is almost like just living your life and doing what you're passionate about and being involved with the programs that you're with. And obviously you're kind of inner circle and support group too. It seems like that's really good advocacy in and of itself without a lot of the negatives, of more like I don't want to say organized, but if you know what I mean, like you seek out like more like quote unquote advocacy programs or whatever. But it seems like leading by example is kind of a good way to go.
yep, yep. I would say that's what I'm
Yeah,
rolling with right now.
yeah, exactly. Oh, Severance. Severance is the name of that show. I knew it would come
Oh,
back.
no, I haven't heard of it.
Weird. Anyway, that was a weird segue. Um, but no, that sounds really great. I think all of the things you're involved with is cool. So I'm happy to visit with you about it. Is there like if people want to get involved or say maybe they need an OT to work with, or maybe they're getting into adaptive, sports or physical fitness, anything, is Instagram kind of the place you direct them, or would you go more with, like the North Carolina adaptive program and everything?
Um, I wish I knew of anything.
Yeah.
If you're a stroke survivor, I would encourage you to go to iapediatricstroke.org.
Mm.
That is one thing my mom has been good about is having a homepage of, hey, these are camps for your kids to go to across the country.
Yeah.
Because I know your viewers probably aren't just in one location.
Right.
But in terms of a general physical disability adapted sports programs across the country, where do you find that? I don't have an
You just have
answer
to
for
look for your
you.
area. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would just recommend Googling physical disability biking or swimming,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do to see what is around you. And that's how people have found us, North
Yeah.
Carolina Adapted Sports.
Sometimes that's the best approach. People just find it somewhere on the internet and yeah, go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. That sounds like a really great program. And it sounds like you're in a really good place right now with everything and balancing and enjoying what you're doing. So I think that's like the biggest quality of life is such a big thing, in my opinion, regardless of what you're dealing with. So that's really
Uh,
great.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what OTs try to do is enhance the quality of life for people.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Yeah, well, it's been really good, Michelle. Is there anything else you want to add or share at this point? Or
um, nothing's coming to mind, but I
yeah,
really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll follow up and share some of your information on the description. And yeah, I'll let you know when it's gonna show up.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Great. Well, thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye.